Hello pilots, today I want to share my first impressions of a new early access title I checked out last night while Mecha Break queues were getting a little bit too long, Nitro Gen Omega. The very first thing that hit me was the vibe. The vibrant art style, the music, it honestly felt like I was opening up an anime episode. The character creator did throw me for a second. The proportions were a little odd at first, with like long, exaggerated arms and exaggerated features. But once I realized that this was intentional and part of the game's art style, I did start to vibe with it. What really impressed me though was how deep the customization already is. You've got a solid amount of hairstyles, some of them look a little unusual, but there is variety there. And when it comes to clothing, the options are even better. You can go in and you can dye each individual part, which gives you a huge range to mix and match and make your pilot stand out. But here's the interesting part. Nitro Gen Omega's characters are procedurally generated. That means there are essentially limitless pilots that can show up in your world, each with different looks and traits. But if you want to go even deeper, the game lets you actually design your own characters and add them into the pool. So if you want, you can literally populate the world with your own creations, build a cast of hireable pilots, and roll out with a fully custom crew. For someone who loves tinkering with character creators, that alone could be hours of gameplay value. It's a really unique feature and it makes your squad and your story feel that much more personal. Now, onto the combat, which is where Nitro Gen Omega really stood out for me. It's tactical but not overly complex. It has a lot of potential. Each round, you and your opponent queue up actions on a timeline, and then, once you hit go, the round plays out in cinematic fashion. The trick is figuring out what your enemy is going to do and trying to preempt or counter it. For example, I scanned an enemy's action and saw they were preparing a grenade. Grenades don't hit a single target, they damage everybody in a quadrant. So I told my driver to move to a different quadrant before it went off, dodging the blast entirely. And that's where the depth comes in. You've got tools like coolant to manage heat, reloads, and timing to think about. And when you hit resolve, all the actions play out like you're directing an anime scene. Consoles lighting up, pilots shouting orders, missiles flying, the music kicks in and it feels really awesome. Now, I will admit that I did mess up sometimes once I moved into an enemy's quadrant before launching my missiles, so when they exploded I got caught in the blast as well. There is a tutorial that explains all this, but me being me, I sort of skipped through it and had to learn the hard way. Outside of combat, there's the whole crew and airship system, which I did really like and found quite immersive. Your airship is basically your headquarters, where you can send your squad to do activities between missions, and after battles you earn tokens that you can spend on things like cooking, training, or just hanging out to improve morale and build relationships between the characters in your squad. Now this actually has gameplay impact. If your squad builds a strong friendship, one pilot can pass their turn to another in battle, for example. And if they're rivals, they might steal a turn instead. I really enjoyed that dynamic, though it can be a little unpredictable. I once sent my crew to cheer up after a tough fight, and instead they ended up having an argument and came back less happy. The game didn't really explain why, so that felt a little punishing. As for the world itself, you pick up contracts in towns, then fly your airship out to complete them. You have a sonar on your ship that allows you to find hidden encounters along the way, which makes the overworld feel a little bit more interesting. Missions let you farm currency and parts to upgrade your mech or unlock new activities for your ship. That said, most of the contracts I found boiled down to fly here, fight this, or deliver this package. The delivery ones in particular were just clicking and waiting. No obstacles to dodge or enemies to avoid. While it's addictive at first because you're constantly unlocking new stuff and wanting to see what else there is in the game, I can see it feeling grindy in the long run if variety doesn't expand. Though again, this is just early access, so I would take that with a pinch of salt. And speaking of mechs, customization there is a bit more limited in this early build. You can swap parts which give you new stats and abilities, but the overall silhouette stays relatively the same. I was also disappointed at how rare paint jobs were. Several hours in, I still hadn't found a way to recolor my mech. On the positive side, upgrading parts isn't just numbers, it unlocks skills too. One of my first big upgrades gave me more health, heat capacity, and a new repair ability for my engineer. So there's depth, but right now the variety is a little bit slim. So what's my verdict? Nitro Gen Omega is clearly made with a lot of love. The presentation is fantastic, the combat system is unique and has a ton of potential, and the crew management adds flavor and immersion. But right now, the core gameplay loop is a little too simple, the missions get repetitive very quickly, and the enemy variety isn't there yet. For die-hard mecha anime fans who want to support the devs and see this grow, it might be worth checking out. For everyone else, I'd say keep this one on the radar. There's a real gem here waiting to be cut and polished, and I'll definitely be coming back to see how it evolves. But that's it from me today. If you enjoyed this first look, drop a like, subscribe for more, and let me know what you think about Nitro Gen Omega in the comments below. Thanks for watching, pilots.